Do you see that man standing up upright, looking all confident? That is going to be you at the end of this video. And that man sitting down, scared, that will be any future source that you read in our history class. Today, we are going to learn how to read like historians. What we're trying to do is to find out the logistics of the text or the source that we're reading. So just the basic information that you would do at any standard reading, I hope. Then we are going to try to understand the author's purpose of writing what we are reading, writing, drawing, etc. We will then be putting the source in the context of history and that period in history. And then we are going to attempt to understand the subjectivity of the sources that we are reading. So first, this is the boring stuff. Got to go through a checklist. Who wrote this source? So, artist, government, whatever. What kind of source is it? Which just sounds stupid, but it's important to know. Like newspaper article, photograph, something like that. When did it happen? So what's the date? It might not be on there, so you need to find the date. Not a big deal. Where did it come from? Was it in England? Was it in America? That stuff's important too. I know. It sounds dumb. Like, who wants to do that? I know. However, for our next step, our next objective, we need to figure out why the source was created. As the picture says, why is the new because? Because we do want to figure out why the source was created. So we will be figuring out the author's motive. So based on the laundry list of things that you had just found out about the source, you need to make an educated guess as to why the source was created. There may be a right answer, there may not be, but the point is that you want to try to figure out what the author's intent was. Was he trying to prove a point? Was he just reporting on an event? There's something there. Sometimes it's an easy answer, sometimes there is no answer, so it's your job to figure that out. And then from there, you need to look at that source and figure out how it fits in the time within the time period. So, what is it saying about the time period in history? A helpful part of this would be to look at other sources that we read about in class, even the textbook, and compare it with that source and seeing what they say versus what it says. And then finally, we have to look at the context of the source. Does it fit in with anything else we've been reading? Does it stand out? Is it different? Does something seem off about it? Does it seem like that it's written strange, or it just sounds totally out of the blue? And then, this is important, is the author providing a subjective and objective account? So is what he saying fact? Or does it sound a little bit opinionated? Does it sound like he's putting in some biases in it? That's important, and if you do see that, you should point it out, highlight it, circle it, write it down, because that's important, and that's something that we as historians need to take into account when we read sources. So that's in a nutshell everything today that we were learning about how to think like historians. However, our job as historians and historical detectives is never over. There are always more sources, so please, just get excited about the amount of sources that we have to cover still. But just know that you are well on your way to thinking and reading like a historian.